So, about a year ago today, I did a response to, I think it's FanMusing's video. I'll put their link in the description, or their channel in the description. But I did a response to the video where they basically did a very well done discussion as to why Utena, if you will, to some, basically turns into a car at the end of Revolutionary Girl Utena, the movie, or otherwise known as the adolescence of Utena, or Utena, depending on how you pronounce her name. And, you know, again, they did a very good job in explaining why that is. And it, you know, when you really digest what they say, and then you take what the director of the film, through the subtitle commentary on it, you know, what they say, it really does make a lot of sense. You know, because Utena basically, at the end of the film, accepts her role as being that driving force to get Anthe out of this dream world like scenario known as the Academy and into reality. And the way she accepts it is by basically getting turned into a car, a la the car wash. And it's pretty much depicted visually that if Anthe doesn't accept, you know, that Utena is that driving force she needs, that like any vehicles, you know, she will rust. You know, she will, you know, that bond, that love that she has for her will rust. It'll break. So Anthe finally accepting that, you know, and accepting that Utena is that driving force, is able to escape and even transform Utena from one form of a car to another. But, you know, again, this is a strange moment. It's one of the reasons that got me to want to, you know, watch the movie, if not, you know, DVD fab the movie, you know, rip it, if you will, to another DVD, you know, stuff like that, or even, you know, or even download it a la YouTube, because it is on YouTube, believe it or not, somewhere, you know, and have another copy. It's not just that, but it's just another example, and I talked about this almost a month later last year, which is going to be a year next month. I talked about this about a year ago, where basically, I talked about the WTF, what the blank moments, if you will, what the fridge moments, as Animat would put it, that came out of anime altogether, because there is a lot of what the fridge moments, and Utena's car transformation is just, you know, one of those what the fridge moments. I mean, if you want a movie full of what the fridge moments, then, you know, from an anime perspective, there is Paprika, there is Mind Game, you know, if you will. There are those kind of films where when you watch it, you're like, what the fridge am I watching here? You know, at several times, because there are moments in there that make you go, what the fridge am I watching? Which is pretty much true. You know, the same with some of the scenes, like the beginning scene, or the shower scene, if you will, in Space Adventure Cobra. You know, you look at that and you're like, what the fridge am I watching, right? You know, it has that kind of, that kind of feel to it. It makes you, it makes you curious as to what is going on here. Like, you wonder, what does this have to do with what I'm watching? You know, even some of the anime shows, adult anime shows, you know, PG, you know, GA, general audience, or even PG anime shows, they make you wonder, what the fridge am I watching, and what does this have to do with the show? You know, what is going on? Like, one of the PG, G-rated animes out there called Doraemon, you know, the classic ones, because I know they did a CGI film and everything, might have even done a CGI series. I don't know if it retains the same wackiness, tropiness, or whatever it dealt with there. But Doraemon has, you know, these powers, has like these, what are they, pills or beans or whatever they are, that allows him and his human compatriots, these kids, to turn into anything or anyone they want. And you could see a lot of those transformations here on YouTube through people like Mr. Unknown, R.I.P., and others. But basically, you have scenes where the kids transform into balls. You have scenes where the kids turn into inanimate objects, plants, animals and stuff like that. You have those scenes, and it's like, what sense does this make? For the anime, it doesn't make any sense and everything. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, what does this have to do with the story? And again, these are just WTF moments that make you think, like, what is going on? Some of the WTF moments do make sense. Like, for example, Cutie Honey, when she has to recharge, and I've mentioned this before, she basically uses what's left of her power for the time being to turn herself into an inanimate statue on top of a pedestal in a park so she can basically recharge, throughout the night. Unaware that later on in the morning, or that following morning, her two friends are in awe of the statue that looks like her, only for her to basically wake up and be like, knock it off, to get them, to scare them off and everything, because they're not aware, like, oh, this is Honey, she's just in statue form right now or something. So again, it's those kind of moments that even if they make sense, it makes you wonder, why the fridge would she do that, knowing that, something could happen that it's going to blow her cover almost, But it's not just anime either. It's animation too. And there are a lot of things in animation, Western and European animation, in recent years and decades where you see these moments and you're like, what the fridge is going on here, right? Why the fridge are they doing this? What the fridge is this, moment here? Why is everything going psychedelic and cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo? Stuff like that. And, characters are turning into these things and that thing and all that. It's like, what is going on, right? What is going on? And, and again, it's one of those situations that makes you think, like, why is this here? Like, one of my favorite animated shorts, and I've talked about, in fact, I've done a review on it, and I've even done an Animated Girls Profile Confidential on the character in it, the Pauline character. But one of my favorite animated shorts is Duck Pimples. And a lot of people have said that Duck Pimples is pretty much a 1940s acid trip, if you will, for Donald Duck. And because basically you have all these things happening. He's stuck indoors, it's raining and all that. You have this, bookseller or whatever he is, this apparition to show up and drop a lot of books off or whatever, and one of the books he gets into, just starts to come to life, and his imagination is just running wild. That's apparently the thing that is basically the plot. That is the plot, that his imagination is just running so wild, he is so bored that things are coming to life. Things are just popping into existence. And one of the moments in there involves Pauline, and what she does is she's looking for her pearls. And when she can't find them, she decides, because she thinks she's found them, but they're actually handcuffs. What she decides to do after she tosses the handcuffs away, thinking they're her pearls, she crawls up the detective's back, crawls up his back under his trench coat, and all you see before she settles down is like two little lumps that look like little mountains that that kind of flat, that kind of basically settle into a one little shape, one little overly mountain-like little heel shape, if you will, until it basically that shape flattens out. And then for the rest of the cartoon, for the rest of the, not the rest of the cartoon, but for the next few minutes of that cartoon, all you see is like her legs stick out a little bit to kind of give you an idea she's there. But for a majority of the time, time, for the next like few minutes, like I said, you see nothing but her hands stick out. Her arms and her hands stick out, like she's, like the first time you see it, it's like she's picking up his top hat or his cap or whatever it is dumping out the cigars, pulling out a rabbit, like doing the rabbit out of the hat trick, put the rabbit back in. And then she pulls her hands back in, right? And you think, okay, she's going to, climb back out because she couldn't find anything. Nope. She stays under his trench coat for a little longer, because what happens next is basically when the detective wants Donald to answer, he decides he's going to call upon some help. And the next thing you know, the detective's yelling for this Clark guy. He has his arms down to the side. It's pretty much, you can tell his arms are down to the side. But then you see you see Pauline's left arm and hand come out, go right next to his face, like it's like she's, echoing or basically amplifying his yelling for the Clark guy. And then when he curls his hand, says, the hot irons, please. She does the same thing. Basically she's pantomiming the movements. And then when he's reading the card after that Clark guy, the Leslie J. Clark guy pops out of the book, he picks a card, a business card, reads it, and as he's like scratching his forehead, and he's holding, like he's scratching his forehead with one of his hands and the other hand is holding the card, Pauline's arms and hands decide to kind of act like additional parts of him, because one puts on his glasses, the other is scratching his chin, and then and then holding his chin a little bit while he's talking, while the other one, after putting the glasses on, just hangs there in midair, like it's just part of him. It's just part of him, and it's like, you look at that, right now, you look at that and you're like, how can this guy not notice? How can this guy not notice these feminine hands in front of him, Or how can Donald not see this and point out, hey, why do you got feminine hands there? Girl hands. It's like, people, that's one of the things that people wonder, what the fridge is going on here? It's like, how can he not see that? It's moments like that. It's moments like that that really, and again, other moments too, as well. Like in the Betty Boop cartoon, her interpretation of Snow White, the evil queen gets turned into a monster, and it's like, what the point was that? What the point was that? You couldn't just, have her... excuse me, I'm trying to think of what I was going to say. You couldn't just have her, or I don't know, get turned back into the old woman and everything is freed, or have her get turned into a statue and everybody's freed. It's like, instead you turn her into a monster. It's like, what the fridge? It's like, what the heck? It's one of those kind of situations. It's like one of those kind of situations too, where you're like, what's the point of that? That doesn't make sense. So, the history of WTF moments, in all of animation and everything, from anime to Western to European, the history up till now, up to the present, of WTF moments that get you thinking, what the fridge was that about? Always going to be a staple. Always going to be a staple of animation, of creativity, because sometimes a visual representation, psychedelic, WTF or not, is the best way to kind of, bide the time or help tell a story or something like that. I mean, Palais Voo's Woos, which is one of my favorite Popeye shorts, I think it's everybody's, where Olive basically melts into a puddle of running butter at the end on the floor. Basically, you look at that, and throughout, you see all these things happening. You see her eyes get turned into limpables, she gets frozen in a block of ice, stuff like that. And it's like, okay, what's going on here? What does this have to do with the story, right? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And in the ending, it's like, literally, she's going to say she's like butter in his hands and literally melts. It's like, what sense did that make? But again, it plays up to the way the cartoon is presented, because, at the beginning you have the International, which is a play on the Intercontinental, another show at that time. Basically telling the women watching along, which Olive is one of them, that the eyes are like limpet pools, and her eyes turn into limpet pools. It's like, so you're telling me just to contract with, him describing things about them and having it happen to them, you're telling me that at the end, Olive saying she feels like butter in Popeye's hands, you're literally going to have her do that. And again, even though it kind of contracts or kind of coincides with that, I should say, people still look at it like, what the fridge? Like, what was the point in that? It didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense whatsoever. So, basically, in the end, guys, like I said, the WTF moments that you find in animes and animations are always going to be prevalent, even to this day. They really are. They're always going to be present to this day. I mean, the end of Evangelion, Neo Genesis Evangelion, the end of Evangelion, that final, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is, 20 minutes, it's like, what the fridge is going on there, right? It's like it doesn't make any sense. It's like, why is this girl character who comes back in other future Evangelion animes, movies and shows, why is she now being part of this? Why is she, it's like, what is going on here? It's like, what's the point? It's just a prime example that you're always going to have these kind of moments in anime. I mean, like in Mind Game, when you have the two main characters, main female and male protagonists getting together and they're getting intimate, what happens? Visually, you see them turning into things and all this stuff happening. It's like, what the fridge is going on? And again, it's a WTF moment that, even though it's part of the story, it just doesn't really make sense. It really doesn't. So, anyway, I just wanted to come on here a year later after talking about it, talking about the Utena and stuff, Utena moment along with the end of Evangelion, as well as follow up on the other video I did a month later, about a year ago now, talking about the WTF moments. And again, like I said, whether we like to admit it or we don't, these kind of things are always going to be part of animation for who knows how long. It's not going to really matter, whether we're still here or not. It's always going to be part of animation to the end of time. And I think a lot of us know that. So let me know what your thoughts are, guys, down below in the comment section, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. What are some of the WTF moments in anime and animation overall, both genres, if you will? What are your most memorable WTF moments? That you can recall, when you first saw it, you're like, what the fridge is this about? Why is this here? What sense does this make? What are those moments? Let me know down below in the comments, as well as in the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. Also, check me out at BW Rose's Discussions Podcast, where you will get an audio podcast of this later on. Also, check me out at the various other places, including DeviantArt.com, BVW1979, archiveofourown.org, BWRoses98, inkbunny.net at BWRoses. Also, support me at Patreon.com, BWRoses. Find me at Twitch.tv, BWRoses, and VENMO at BWRoses. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. Also, check out the Teespring store as well for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear your responses. Again, what was your reactions when you first saw some WTF moments in anime and animation overall that made you go like, what sense does this make? Why is this here? Or what the blankety blank is going on? Let me know, and until next time.